Threats and intimidation. That is all Donald Trump has left as his administration continues to flounder. Every day they are losing support. Every day they are losing in court. And so Donald Trump knows the only way he can attempt to suppress dissent is by attacking and threatening. And that is exactly what we've seen as he's tried to carry out his illegal deportation plan, threatening anyone in our country who chooses to oppose him, including elected officials. And we saw that this weekend with the arrest of the mayor of Newark, and now threats are coming against those who are calling Donald Trump out, specifically Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is not just attacked by the administration, but then went public and is making Donald Trump panic. We're going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we can get into what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez had to say about these threats she's receiving from the Trump administration, we unfortunately have to start with the one giving them out. That's Donald Trump's border czar, Tom Homan.
Safety crisis, and these elected politicians know that. This isn't about the due process. This isn't about constitutional rights. This is about politics. That facility's got some of the worst of the worst. We're keeping President Trump's promise to the American people that elected him for the sole reason of securing the border and removing these public safety threats from the communities. That's exactly what they're going to do. They can stand out and scream all they want. They can trespass, they'll be arrested. If they impede, they'll be arrested. If they knowingly harbor and conceal, they'll be arrested. We're going to do this job for the American people.
To pretend that it's elected Democrats interfering with the enforcement of the rule of law and not Donald Trump and his entire administration is crazy. This is someone who is consistently breaking with judges he's appointed, a Supreme Court he has practically packed to the brim with his own loyalists, as he is the one breaking the law, carrying out his illegal immigration plan. And somehow the idea that Democrats doing oversight of an ICE facility in their jurisdiction is grounds for arrest is ridiculous. But it just goes to show that what this Trump administration is about right now is intimidation. And someone who was on the ground, Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman, called that out of the experience she had when she went to that ICE facility. And before we get into AOC, I want to hear what she had to say.
They asked him to leave the facility. He left the facility, went behind the gates out there with the protesters. The ICE members were talking on the phone. We hear them say, all right, we're going to go to arrest him. We ask, why are you arresting him? He's not on the property. He's not on your property. They ignored us. They opened the gate. They pushed through people. There were several armed guards.
Your interpretation, and your use of words is very different from the spokesperson for DHS who was on CNN. She used the words body slamming, saying that the mayor and other members of Congress were body slamming and were being rough with the ICE officials. You're disputing that.
Yeah, so how ridiculous does that sound? They're 200 pounds. They've got about 35 pounds worth of stuff around them, including a gun on their arms. I can tell you what I think about what they're saying. The president of the United States opens his mouth every day and lies. He can't breathe without lying.
So clearly this was just regular oversight by a member of Congress who has jurisdiction over that area, and the Trump administration did their best to make as big of a scene possible. And it's the reason that we now have Tom Homan saying that he is willing to look into and is going forward with arresting elected officials who get in the way of this plan on the grounds of protecting Americans. But how is it protecting people when you're going forward with illegal searches and seizures? You're arresting people, not even arresting, kidnapping people? Because when these ICE agents, when these mass thugs who practically could be Proud Boys at this point, we don't know, there's a lot of overlap there, are throwing people in the back of unmarked vans, refusing to disclose who they are. How can we possibly know that this is law enforcement and not just Donald Trump's fascist takeover? Well, that is exactly what AOC was talking about when she called out not only the attack she's getting from the Trump administration, but what she's doing to fight back.
And now what DHS is trying to say, again, they're using public intimidation because they know that they cannot come for us all. They know that they cannot come for us all. And recently what they said is that DHS is allegedly looking into arresting members of Congress who were showing up for their legal and constitutional obligation to conduct oversight. If anyone's breaking the law in this situation, it's not members of Congress, it's the Department of Homeland Security. It's people like Tom Homan and Secretary Kristi Noem. You lay a finger on someone, on Representative Bonnie Watson Coleman, on Representative, or any of the representatives that were there, you lay a finger on them, we are going to have a problem. Because the people who are breaking the law are the people who are not abiding by it. And it is enshrined in the law that members of Congress who show up to ICE and CBP facilities are required to be granted access, legally required to be granted access. And they legally cannot be inhibited from accessing these facilities to conduct their constitutional obligation to investigate and conduct oversight. So if Kristi Noem wants to break the law, that's on her. But it sure as hell is not someone like Representative Robert Menendez that needs to be arrested, okay? We need to be talking about ICE agent, the ICE agents and the cowardly policy of covering their faces. Covering their faces. And a lot of them are also covering their identification. These are public employees that are accountable to the public and accountable to Congress. And this idea that we are going to allow some kind of paramilitary force to bloom that is not in any way accountable to the Constitution of the United States, we got another thing coming. Because that right there, that kind of attitude is what is actually anti-American. That kind of attitude is what is actually treasonous, is to attack our Constitution and to attack the obligations that we have in our Constitution, to attack free speech, to attack the powers of Congress, to erode our ability to investigate and conduct oversight. That is what is un-American. And this administration and Kristi Noem spits on the American flag every time she does that nonsense. So I don't want to hear anything about America first. These people and this administration is putting America last.
AOC has made it very clear. Bring it on. She will not stand down to this administration as they attack the rule of law. She will stand up for the rights that we have in this country, and she does not care what Donald Trump does. But clearly, Donald Trump is not happy about it. He is sending Tom Homan out to whine on Fox. We could listen to that, but do we really want to hear any more from Tom Homan? We know what this administration is doing. They're pretending that AOC is somehow getting in the way of their master plan because they've painted her as this, ooh, so scary liberal, wants to make sure that you have health care, wants to make sure that we're not abducting you and your family members in the middle of the night for writing an op-ed critical of dear leader Donald Trump. This is what the administration is all about, while they go forward with the worst corruption and criminality we've ever seen. That's what the focus needs to be. And Congressman Dan Goldman was pointing all of that out right here.
No, did you say directly that there was a legitimate basis to move forward with an impeachment investigation?
Yeah, what I said is that if those allegations were proven, they could amount to impeachable offenses.
All right. Well, let's focus for a second on some conduct that's been going on over the last few months. Related to World Liberty Financial. Are you familiar with that company?
No.
You're not familiar? Okay. Are you familiar at all with Donald Trump's interest in cryptocurrency?
No.
So you're not familiar with the fact that Donald Trump issued a meme coin 2 or 3 days before his inauguration?
I saw something of that in the press, but I'm not that familiar with it.
Okay. Well, let's hypothetically, it's not hypothetical, it's true, Donald Trump has a financial interest in a meme coin named after himself. And he recently offered a VIP White House tour and special reception to the meme coin's 25 biggest holders. After that announcement, the coin surged more than 50%. Does that seem like something that warrants investigation to you, Mr. Turley?
Well, there's no question that you can investigate that to see if there was any criminal conduct. I want to distinguish between that and the influence peddling scandal that the hearing was about in the Biden administration.
I'm not talking about that hearing. And I know you like to filibuster, Mr. Turley. No, I'm happy to talk about that hearing. It was the biggest joke of an investigation. It was embarrassing that you call yourself a credible criminal professor, that you would actually think that there was any evidence that warranted an investigation. But I'm focusing right now because it would seem to me, if you have any credibility, you would agree that auctioning off a White House tour for the highest investors in your own company would warrant either impeachment or criminal investigation. But let me move on because it gets worse. The president is a significant financial beneficiary of a company called World Liberty Financial, which issues a stablecoin. Are you familiar with stablecoins?
I'm not.
Okay, a stablecoin is essentially a digital version of a dollar that can be used in transactions. Recently, the World Liberty, this organization which Donald Trump is a beneficiary of, entered into a deal with a UAE-backed company that would complete a $2 billion transaction with a company that has previously admitted to engaging in money laundering. And Donald Trump's company will now generate tens to hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue from that transaction with a foreign government.
If we want to talk about criminality, let's just look at Donald Trump. The man is accepting gifts from foreign governments that he's just pocketing, playing it off as some beautiful donation, representative of I'm such a great deal maker. But no, this is just a scam. This is a Trump scam. Everything that is happening is for Donald Trump. He is not serving us. Get out of here. You're not even going to acknowledge that idea, that Donald Trump has the American people's best interest in mind, or the lie Carolyn Levitt was trying to push, that he left his life of luxury and leisure to come serve the American people. He ran for president again because he was trying to get out of going to jail. And now he's given more reasons why he should be in jail. If you're going to open up Alcatraz, maybe do it for yourself. That's what we're going to talk about on this show every single day. That's what we're going to call out. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.